Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Parish in Lincoln's first summer worship service. For the time being, we are here on Zoom, as we have been for a while. And early in the fall, we are planning on being back in our beloved sanctuary on Bedford Road. Thank you all for being here this morning. And first, I think we have a couple of announcements. Sarah Kay.
Thank you, Paula. I am echoing. Thank you, Paula. I am giving this announcement this morning on behalf of the racial justice advocates who are working with the Outreach Committee on a pop-up summer clothing drive for children and adults that will benefit Solutions at Work. So this drive will run from Monday, June 28th through Tuesday, July 6th. You can leave your donations in the marked bins at the front porch of the parish house, or you can contact Mary Gaylord for a pickup. They're urgently in need of casual summer clothes for girls, boys, women, men, children, and adults, basically. Everything from underwear, sandals, sneakers, diapers, dresses, pants, shorts, t-shirts, and so on. All sizes are welcome, gently worn and clean items only, please. We are so grateful for your donations in the previous pop-up drives that we've done. We're wondering if there's anyone that hasn't cleaned out this closet or that closet. And if you happen to come across something in the coming days, we welcome those donations. And at this time, I will turn it over to Sarah Andresiak. Sarah, we can't hear you for some reason.
Yes, no. Yes, great, sorry. My headset is not working this morning. Hi, sorry. Search Committee, Sarah Andresiak, along with Katie Walker, Heather Ring, Deanna Elenema, who you might have known as Deanna LaFerrier, congratulations to her, Larry Buell, Tom DeNormandy, Janet Boynton, I think I said Heather Ring. We are so humbled by the significance of the task ahead and by the trust that the community has placed in us to do this search work to find our next settled minister. We are already hard at work, meeting weekly, dividing up tasks, and we are building on the tremendous foundation by the transition team, so thanks to them for that. We are working in service of this community and will keep you in close communication as we go forward. Most importantly, we will be listening to you. We look forward to engaging with you through surveys, focus groups, neighborhood meetings, and whatever other form of communication suits you as we proceed with the process. We will be in heavy communication come the fall, so look forward to that. And thank you. We couldn't imagine more important work to do.
Thank you, Sarah. As always, we welcome your contributions by check and regular snail mail to 14 Bedford Road, Lincoln, Mass. Or you can donate online at fpllincoln.org. Donate. You did not come here by chance this morning. You came looking for something more. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or on your mind that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted, leave it behind. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for the world. Come into this place ready to build a world of equal possibility for all. Spirit of life, be with us in this hour as we listen with openness, accept peace in our hearts, and receive your Spirit in what ways you will. Please join me, if you wish, in saying our covenant. In the love of truth and in the Spirit of Jesus, we unite for the worship of God and the service of all.
God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. We come now in the time of our service that we set aside for silent and spoken prayers. After our prayer hymn, we will have a few moments of silence, followed by the reading of the prayers you have sent in. There is still time now to use the chat feature to send in any prayers you have today. In addition to your silent prayers, there are prayers offered for the joy of good friends and a lovely summer evening. And a prayer of thanksgiving for Deanna and Edwin, for their marriage and for their being together with us. And we hold the Deck family in prayer. Mark Deck had a bike accident on Nantucket last weekend, has had surgery, and now is at Spalding Rehab for treatment. The family welcomes all our prayers and cards. And the prayers for Margaret Griffith for the passing of Briggs. Thank you. Let us now join together as one, together in prayer. This year, and at this time of year generally, we are in the midst of transitions, multiple transitions, in nature, in our lives, in this church, in our nation. The flowers and the birds, the leaves and the bees have burst forth from their winter slumber to awaken our senses. Now they are settling into their summer cycles. We humans are emerging from our year of isolation and bursting out into a new and different world. We are trying to find our way in the bustle and uncertainties of a post-COVID environment. How do we return? Will we take time to settle so we can proceed with intention? I find the path back at times perplexing. It helps me to notice that we are also in a season of promise. A variety of planted seeds promises fresh produce for our nourishment. They have already provided their early bounty. The animals, from rabbits to bison, promise new generations as they care for their young. The seeds marked by flags in the Flint fields promise the pumpkins of October. Our hiking trails promise adventures and discoveries and silence. Silence where we can calm our minds and restore our souls. Transition. Promise. I stop and think. I think about what nature can teach us, about our own human lives, in community and in our fragile nation. With transition, there is possibility. With the planting of the seed, there is promise. Let us engage in all transitions thoughtfully and fully. Let us never fear to plant the seeds of justice, kindness, humility, and dignity. And let us nurture them through all our seasons so we can keep our promises alive. May it be so.
Our second reading this morning is an excerpt from When God is Silent by Barbara Brown Taylor. How shall I break the silence? What word is more eloquent than the silence itself? In the moments before a word is spoken, anything is possible. The empty air is formless void, waiting to be addressed. Depending on what is said, Earth could be all ocean, a blue water world in space. Adam could be a self-regenerating monk who sleeps alone by the glow of 2 moons or 3 and has to make his own decision about the fruit of that one beguiling tree. Anything is possible until God exhales, inspiring the void first with wind and then with the word, which is both utterance and act, which makes something out of nothing by saying that it is so. God says, and the Logos yields the cosmos. God says, and a solemn procession of creatures steps out of the darkness, so steady on their feet that it is hard to believe they are using them for the first time. God says, and there are bats, bluebirds, fireflies, and luna moths. God says, and there are seahorses, manta rays, plankton, and clams. Here ends the reading.
As a child, I believed in magic. That was my name for God. Lying on the ground at night, looking up at the stars, I could feel I was falling into the eternal sky. Sunlight creating visible streams of color through the branches of trees. I wanted to paint them. The sound that tree leaves made when they moved in the wind. Music, all magic, all God. Now I have words for all those experiences. Does that make them more or less holy, more or less eternal? In our infancy, other people start naming things for us. We had no words, yet we experienced everything whole, without words. Science has names for all those magical events in my childhood. The question for me is, where do words end and God begin? The garden is where I honor and appreciate both God and the earth. Nothing can describe it. There aren't enough words, and yet really no words are necessary. What I see is growth and change. What I see are peonies and baby romaine. A few days ago, I ate some red winter kale, baby leaves which have sown themselves at the base of an old faucet near the fence at the top of the garden, next to some ferns. There as well are squash and basil, peppers and tomatoes growing inches overnight. It rained last night, a good soaker. The soil is dark chocolate and wet. The Lloyd's allium plant is 3 feet tall with furry caps on invisible heads. The air is cool. The birds sit on the corner posts and sing. More rain on the way. The sky is soft, light cream with little streaks of baby blue. The giant oaks and pines at the edge of the meadow out past the garden are magnificent, every one. Each with its own shape, its own color, red green, blue green, yellow green, tall and skinny, conical, jagged, round and plump. And every single thing is full of life. Every leaf on every tree, every plant, and me. Whether I call you life or God or word doesn't matter. It just is. All around me and all I need if I will notice. I just finished reading Braiding Sweetgrass and found the bean's story in a chapter about gardening. The bean's amazing life is, like everything else, circular. I could begin anywhere in that cycle: root, sprout, branch, flower, fruit. But I'm going to enter the bean's story in a different way, with nitrogen. Bear with me here. Nitrogen is all around us. The air we breathe is 78% nitrogen. Plants rely on it to grow leaves and photosynthesize. Animals rely on it for building muscle, DNA, and other critical parts of their bodies. But here's the kicker. None of us, animals and plants, can use it in the form in which it exists, atmospheric nitrogen. Plants and animals need mineral nitrogen, and mineral nitrogen needs the opposite of this airy environment. It needs an anaerobic environment to transform it. Along comes a gardener with a packet of dried beans. Each bean, planted 1 inch deep, puts out a single root, which then winds its way, if you're lucky, deep into the soil in the dark, so it can hold the leaves up top in place as they grow towards the sun. Remember, every handful of that soil is about 50% air, and 78% of air is atmospheric nitrogen. Deep in the soil, something else is going on. All soil contains bacteria. One of billions is the Rhizobium bacteria. The rhizobium can only use nitrogen under special circumstances in anaerobic environments. Along comes the bean. Wherever her root contacts a Rhizobium bacteria, a transformation seems to take place. And seems is the operative word here. The bean will create a small anaerobic node on each root that comes in contact with a Rhizobium bacteria. Hence, the atmospheric nitrogen is transformed into mineral nitrogen and transferred from bacteria to plant. Everyone gains. The bacterium has a place to live and do her work, transforming atmospheric nitrogen into mineral nitrogen. In return, she receives carbohydrates from the plant for energy. The bean plant makes mineral nitrogen available to the growing plant, and the nodes lock nitrogen into the soil for future generations. Together, they create what they need for themselves, each other, and all the other plants in the garden. What about that point of contact between the bacterium and the root? What is happening there? So many words, so much explanation. We can name it, call it a chemical reaction, call it a catalytic conversion. And what part does the gardener play in all of this? What am I looking in all of this for? Why does it hold so much energy for me? For me, at every point is found a spark of the divine. And I've seen it elsewhere. Did you know that within every growing plant, there is a single layer of cells where some cells decide to grow down into the earth to form roots, and the others in the same layer of cells turn upwards towards the sun? Why? Whose choice? That seems to me to be divine choice. The potter's wheel. When the clay and the hands of the potter reach a balance point, it's called centering. It's there. Yogis practice balance poses and find their centers. It's there. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu says, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. So many words naming parts of things. If we stop naming, where do we go? What do we feel? Can we glimpse the eternal mystery? Lord, may we sit in the mystery of it all and please bless all our trying. Amen.
I sing the mighty power that made the mountains rise, that spread the flowing seas abroad and built the lofty skies. I sing the wisdom that ordained the sun to rule the day. The moon shines full at his command, and all the stars obey. I sing the goodness of the Lord that filled the earth with food. He formed the creatures with his word, and then pronounced them good. Lord, how thy wonders are displayed where'er I turn my eye. If I survey the ground I tread, or gaze upon the sky, there's not a plant or flower but makes thy glories known. And clouds arise and tempests burn by order from thy throne. Why will the devil's fly from me is ever in thy care? And everywhere that man can be, thou God art present there.
Please join me, if you will, in saying our call to worship. Oh, we go forth from the worship of God to be faithful to the vision of Jesus, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish the living earth.
And now go forth, neighbor, sibling, sage, gardener, caregiver, soul friend, grandparent and godchild, foster child and inner child. Lean into the lushness of your own belonging in the great web of life, that you might widen your web of family through ordinary acts of love. May we see ourselves as the seeds that we are, beautiful, singular and collective, beloved. As we go, may the breath of life bless our undoing and our reclaiming, that we may flourish into a community where holy belonging is accessible to all. May it be so. Amen.